Greetings and felicitations, everyone. My name is Felix.
And I am Fab Fox, and welcome to the first episode, take two, of Low Blows and OwOs, the show where furries talk about wrestling because that makes so much sense.
Yep. Okay, so the reason for the take two was because we filmed the first episode last week, but I ended up forgetting to turn on the little tab where I would save the little Twitch setting where we'd be able to save videos for up to 14 days. Whoops.
Uh-oh. Oh well. Uh, take two's never hurt anybody.
Nope. It was kind of a blessing in disguise anyway, because we ended up finding a bit of a audio bug, but thankfully we managed to iron that out.
Yes, for sure. So now we are back and better than ever, much like Eric Bischoff. And we are ready to. Well, first, we're going to recap what we talked about last week, just so that we are all caught up. And then we're going to talk a little bit about a new subject later on. Towards the end of the podcast. So if you're joining us, thank you very much for being here. Make sure to follow the Twitch and subscribe to the YouTube channel where an edited version of this particular stream will end up. So yeah, make sure just to follow us everywhere, much like the stalkers y'all are.
And and if anyone needs a hint as to what we'll be talking about at the end, I'll give you a little hint. I'm sure as hell not going to use the actual copyrighted version. I'm using a cover.
Yeah, for sure.
And a damn good cover one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so shall we get into the introduction to who we are, how we got into wrestling, and all that happy horse shit?
Yes, indeed, we shall. So this is Low Blows and OwOs, and we started this podcast after Felix invited me to chat with him about our predictions for AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view that happened last month. And we decided that we enjoyed talking about that so much that we're gonna just do it all the time. You know.
Alright, so tell me how you came up with the name Low Blows and Woes.
Low Blows and OwOs is probably my crowning jewel achievement in all of my life. Um, so we wanted to make sure that despite the podcast being mainly about wrestling, doesn't really. We're not going to be talking much about the furry fandom here, but since we're both furries and we both love wrestling, we wanted to make sure to kind of tie in both worlds together. So I was literally on a Wikipedia page that was listing a bunch of wrestling jargon, and I was scrolling through, came across low blow, which explained, oh, it's when wrestlers are dicks and they hit each other in the junk. So I saw that and I was like, low blow? Oh, whoa. And then the rest was history.
And that's how babies are made.
Exactly. Low blow in the streets, OO in the sheets.
Yep. And basically, here on the show, the low blows are the low points of wrestling, and the OWOs are the high points of wrestling.
Exactly.
At least that's our take on it, anyway.
Mm-hmm. So, for each episode, we're going to have a specific topic and or theme that we're going to be talking about, and we'll talk about our low blows or our least favorite aspects of what we're talking about, and our OWOs, which conversely, is our favorite aspects of it. And our first subject, which we covered last week, was our favorite and least favorite wrestlers, and of course we'll recap that for y'all in this episode. And then later on, in theme with the upcoming Backlash pay-per-view, and them billing it as the greatest wrestling match ever. Yeah, but, we're going to talk about our favorite and least favorite wrestling matches.
Yes.
Oh, man. I have such a big issue with how they're billing it, but we'll get into that later.
Even Edge has an issue with it.
Yeah.
Like he thought when asked about it, he thought it was a joke at first. And, but but he had to point out that the greatest match ever doesn't exist because it's completely subjective, and
It really is.
I very much agree with that.
Hmm. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth once we get done with our wrestler talk. But first, you need to know more about us, your ever so wonderful, fluffy hosts.
Yes.
Um, so who wants to go first?
Okay. We can't really do rock paper scissors with an icon and like I can't move my
with an
hands.
with an icon and a face rig.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't move my hands with the face rig. So I
All
guess
right,
I'll go first.
go ahead.
Okay, so I started watching wrestling just towards the end of my middle school period. Actually, my last year of middle school. Uh, I had a friend who was very much into wrestling. I didn't really know much about it, other than I think it was a Little Caesars commercial where it was, I believe, Stone Cold and The Rock. I could be wrong, but where they were looked like they were about to have a match, but then the bell rings and they turn around and there's like a pizza in the middle of the ring, so they just start eating it. um, it was advertising the pizza, and towards the end of the commercial, they're like, "Aren't we supposed to be doing something?" Nope.
I think I found I'm on YouTube right now. I found something. It's not Stone Cold and The Rock. It's Mang and Goldberg.
Oh my god, it was me. Oh, send it my way. Send it my way.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then will have it edited up on the screen right now.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and send you the link through Discord. Um, but so keep telling us how you kept going on with your love of wrestling.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I knew it was like a bald guy with a beard, but I didn't think it was Goldberg. Apparently, it was a WCW commercial.
I mean, if it wasn't Stone Cold, then the only other person it could have been was Goldberg.
Yep, or Gilbert. You never know.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
remember this exact commercial playing when I was a kid.
And this commercial was well before my time whenever I started liking wrestling, but we'll get into me in a little bit.
Yeah, this was the only connection to wrestling I had as a kid, but yeah, found wrestling in middle school. Went to my very first wrestling show in that summer before starting high school. It was a SmackDown and ECW taping. Saw all of SmackDown, but only saw one match of ECW. SmackDown, I remember being pretty solid. I think that was the one where Teddy Long proposed to his fiance.
That must have been interesting.
Yeah, I remember her getting super flustered and just like running to the back before finally saying yes backstage.
This is why you can't do public proposals. It's way too awkward in any situation.
And exactly. And as for why I only saw one match of ECW, well, I went with my friend and his father wanted to beat the traffic. So I mean, beat the crowd. So we left. But the match we did see, it was Elijah Burke versus Chris Benoit, and that was Chris Benoit's last televised match before the whole murder suicide thing.
So that's really crazy how your very first show was in a way like part of wrestling history. It's not a good part of wrestling history at all, but
Mm-mm.
wrestling history nonetheless.
And I was just getting into Benoit at the same time, and all of a sudden he's gone.
That's wild.
Thankfully, that never really turned me away from wrestling, and I'm glad it didn't.
For sure. What actually got me into wrestling was watching my brother play SmackDown versus Raw 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I got into wrestling at all is a miracle, and I'll tell you why. Because I had been to a wrestling show before I watched my brother play that game. That was back in 2006 ish. So before then, there was a house show that came to my hometown, and I didn't like wrestling at the time. I was completely disinterested. But uh, my some family friends got some really good tickets, so I was practically in the front row of this house show, and I was so disinterested that I literally fell asleep in the fucking front row.
Oh no.
Yes, it's so bad, and I feel awful about it because the only distinct match that I remember, because I had fallen asleep for the majority of the rest of it, was Jeff Hardy versus Umaga, and of course, Jeff Hardy is a major star everywhere, and Umaga, God rest his soul, he was one of my favorites when I actually was into wrestling.
He was part of the Battle of the Billionaires. I mean,
Exactly.
say what you will about Trump now, but that that match was hyped as hell.
It really was.
Umaga versus Bobby Lashley, but no one really cared about those guys for the most part. It was freaking Stone Cold, Vince McMahon, Donald Trump with hair on the line.
Yeah, and honestly, like no one didn't want to see Vince McMahon get his head shaved at that time.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to see him bald.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I was not interested in wrestling at all around that time, and then I saw my brother playing the video game, and it got me interested. So then I started watching around that time, which I guess I would have been around 6th or 7th grade, and I really started getting into it, around 2007, between 2007 and 2012. That was my biggest time watching it. uh, and but after 2012, I kind of fell out of it for a few years. Occasionally keeping up with what was going on, and then I got back into it around midway 2018, and I've been full steam ahead back into the whole thing ever since.
Awesome. There was a brief time where I stopped wrestling for like 3 years. I stopped wrestling. I stopped watching wrestling mostly due to not having cable or not having the WWE Network at the time. I don't think they had an app on the PS3.
Hmm.
But when I finally got the WWE Network, I finally started keeping up with wrestling again. That was in 2016 when I started hearing all about the Broken Matt Hardy gimmick.
Oh man, that was a great gimmick.
Yeah. And
It still is.
I also wasn't there during the Roman Reigns uh, hate train started, so I never really latched onto the Roman Reigns hate like a lot of other people did, and,
Hmm.
and I still haven't really.
Yeah, and at this point, like, if you're on the Roman Reigns hate train, that kind of makes you a jackass because it's really hard to hate a cancer survivor.
It's what a lot of people say. It's like we don't hate the person, we hate the character, sort of.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I can understand, but it is kind of hard to hate someone who battled leukemia.
Yeah. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and transition into our first low blows and OwOs segment, starting with low blows. Now, this is
Low
low
blows.
blows.
I need to set up
um,
some transition stuff like that.
we'll hammer that out later on.
Yep.
So we're going to go through and talk about our least favorite wrestlers, male and female, throughout different promotions and such. So let's start off with our least favorite male wrestlers, our least favorite current male wrestlers in the main WWE roster.
Are we counting NXT since it's
Uh,
we are not or no?
Not in the main roster. NXT will be its own thing because it feels like its own product anyway.
Good, because I don't know if I can ever really name a worse guy in NXT at the moment. There's
Yeah,
so
for
many good
sure.
names.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's their developmental brand for fuck's sake. If they suck, then they're still learning.
Yeah.
Uh,
But when it comes to main roster, the first person that comes to my mind that I just cannot stand is Baron Corbin.
Why?
Oh my god, he is so annoying. And I think the main reason that I find him really annoying is because I got into wrestling right after he scrapped that whole lone wolf thing that he was doing that everyone liked.
I like
So,
the whole lone wolf thing. That's what got me into him in the first place.
so my first experience with Baron Corbin was when he was the the whiny interim general manager, and I couldn't stand it. I can't stand it now. The King Corbin thing is almost worse. Not to mention uh, that really bad rivalry that he had with Roman Reigns went on about 4 months too long.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good lord! I just every time I see him, I cringe. I can't do it.
Well, that's a shame.
I know, and a lot of people disagree with me. I know, but I cannot handle Baron Corbin.
Okay, so worst male on the main roster. That's a tough one.
Is it tough because there are a lot to pick from, or not enough to pick from?
Not really enough to pick from, honestly.
Does Brock Lesnar still count? Because he pisses me off
Okay,
too.
yeah, fuck. Okay, yeah. Current Brock Lesnar, fuck him. Fuck Brock Lesnar.
Oh my,
In his prime, he was awesome. Now
he really was,
he
yeah.
sucks.
And it's not like from a wrestling standpoint. He's just, oh my god.
I'll put it
There
this
was,
way: when he can put on a good show, then it's all right, as long as he loses.
yeah, but like, there was absolutely no reason for him to hold on to the Universal title for what was it, 2 years? Probably more
Maybe.
than that. I don't know,
Other than
but
he's a quote unquote draw. Like, he might be, but if you're not going to have a champion that's there, what's the point of even making him champion in the first place?
exactly. I think I feel like we saw the gobbledygooker more than we saw Brock Lesnar while he was champion. But oh my god, yeah, like he's a great fighter. He's a really good wrestler in my opinion. But the fact that he just gets handed all the top titles for no reason, and then he's not on TV ever. Oh my god, it pisses me off.
Then again, Vince McMahon loves those big sweaty men.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault him for that, but I won't keep you.
God damn it.
um, yeah, but you know what? Y'all see the rainbow scarf. Don't don't at me.
Yeah.
But yes, I Brock Lesnar just pisses me off just because all the great people that he's practically buried. Kofi Kingston deserved more.
Yeah.
He deserved so much better.
Samoa Joe deserved to win that title.
Mm-hmm. Samoa Joe should have won that title. Or even if they did want to put it on Brock, fine, whatever. But give him more than 10 seconds. What the fuck, dude? An actual match.
Yeah.
Not a fucking squash.
Or a slumberfest.
Yeah, good lord. And don't even get me started on fucking Ricochet.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I think their entrances lasted longer than the match did.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So how about least favorite female wrestlers?
Uh, do they have to be current? Currently in WWE.
Nah.
Overall, Eva Marie, never liked her. Currently, Nia Jax.
Yeah, I'd say my current least favorite is Nia Jax too. Earlier, when all the injuries were first starting, I would say she just needs to go back to developmental. But now that it's consistently happened to this day, like I don't even know what to say. Like I never say that someone like should be fired, but I mean,
either go back to developmental, or let her go.
Yeah, like
she didn't spend enough time in NXT at all. Like, they called her up super early.
Mm-hmm. And it's really upsetting because like I feel like she could be a really great wrestler. Like she's got all the stuff there, but she's just not safe in the ring.
She really isn't.
Which is upsetting because like when even recently, she could have seriously injured Kairi Sane of all people, which that would have been
Twice.
a
Freaking
twice,
twice.
and that would have been a real tragedy if something terrible happened to Kairi Sane.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, man.
And it's her fault the buckle bomb was banned.
Yeah, and you got to fuck up real bad for something to get banned like that. So yeah, Nia Jax. I can't really think of anyone else um that really annoys me in the
Charlie
women's division
Caruso.
right now. Yeah, yeah.
Freaking
Bless
Charlie.
her soul, but oh my god,
She is so robotic with her presence.
and her timing is not good.
I believe. I believe that that backlash, Edge and Randy Orton will have the greatest wrestling match ever.
That was so bad. It was so bad. That
It was so
I
fucking forced too.
and yes, I know that, and I'm pretty sure that's why it was so bad. But that moment right there, even though the whole theme behind Backlash hadn't even been revealed yet, that right there completely disinterested me in the entire Randy Orton Edge feud version 2 for
Which,
Backlash.
and that sucks too because Edge is my favorite wrestler.
I know.
Spoiler for later tonight. But you never know. But Backlash, greatest show.
Yeah, I like I would have been so much more invested in this program if that moment had not happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's not to say that Charlie Caruso is the worst. Like I think she's had good moments too, and she's definitely not the worst backstage interviewer that I've seen, but that moment was not the best.
Who's more annoying, Charlie Caruso or Byron Saxton?
I feel like Byron gets the short end of the stick. I feel so bad for Byron.
Just let him wrestle, goddammit.
I know.
He's better at it than commentating.
Yeah, I don't know if I could say the same about Corey Graves, but I also don't want him commentating anymore.
Corey can be good on a really good day, so
It just and those days for me at least are few and far between because most of the time Corey Graves makes me want to stick screwdrivers in my ears. I can't stand him.
Unfortunately, it's because he's being told what to say.
Yeah, and it also reminds me of when Michael Cole was the really intense heel commentator.
Which is weird because he's supposed to be the play-by-play commentator.
Exactly. But just when the commentators go so out of their way to like defend like the quote unquote dastardly or heinous actions of the heels in the match, it's too much for me and I cannot handle it. That's why I could not stand Michael Cole, and it's why I can't stand Corey Graves.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to be fair, that's what they're going for, so I'm guessing that means they are actually doing a really good job, but I can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I lumped them into the low blow section, too.
Yep.
I think...
So, let's move on to... You want to move on to, like, the worst overall, or are there any other promotions you want to bring in for, like, the low blows? Because I can't really think of anyone else, really, other than my least favorite of all, overall. But
yeah, same, because I can't really think of anyone I don't like in NXT or AEW or anywhere else in the indies for that matter.
I could have easily said David Arquette.
David Arquette.
But he's actually gone through a bit of a redemption on the indies. So he definitely was. It was not his best time in WCW, but he's doing pretty killer stuff in the indies right now. So
yeah.
So who is your worst wrestler overall?
Oh God, I wish I could remember what I said last week.
I'll go. Then I'll tell you mine. His name
Yeah.
is Steve Mongo McMichael. He is just incredibly awkward in the ring. It's kind of a so bad it's good type of. It's like it's so bad you just can't really look away at how bad it is. When you make freaking Goldberg look like Stone Cold Steve Austin by comparison, you know?
Mm-hmm. So that's your least favorite male wrestler?
Yeah, overall.
I remember what I said last week, and I can't believe it took me a minute to remember. But fucking Hulk Hogan is the worst.
Ooh, hot take. Go.
Yeah, unpopular opinion, but I listen. I know that I literally wasn't even a zygote whenever Hulk Hogan was in his prime and on top of the world and blah 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 blah. But even watching back at some of the old stuff, he's boring. Excuse me for saying so, but oh my god, he's boring.
Mhm.
Not to mention that, like, no matter what period of time that you see him in, he always looks like he's 75 years old.
Oh yeah, brother.
Not to mention that. Oh my god.
He could definitely
Uh,
in his. I'll admit, in his prime, he could cut one hell of a promo. Like he was
and
energetic as hell.
I'm sure he could. And I'm honestly like the time when he was a big superstar is the only time he could have been a superstar. So I think he was just in the business at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't think he was a great wrestler. He's obviously not a really great person, period.
Yeah.
Especially even back then, that doesn't work for the Hulkster, brother.
Nope.
Fuck off.
And the whole racist controversy stuff. He never really properly apologized. He more just apologized for getting caught.
Yeah. And then even now during everything that's going on, fucking his wife is going on Twitter getting his entire family banned from AEW shows.
What a surprise.
Yeah, man, but nah, just like I can respect the legacy that he left behind. Like you can't deny that he is like one of the biggest legends in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Full stop. But no, I am not a Hulkamaniac.
Had one of the worst wrestling finishers ever.
Oh my god.
The freaking leg drop. I'm pretty sure that's how the Undertaker beat King Kong Bundy back in WrestleMania 11.
Probably.
The same way, scoop slam, leg drop, get the pin. Like I know King Kong Bundy's a big guy, but come on, you couldn't have just choke slammed him.
There's no way that would have done him in.
No.
I guess you could say the same thing about Andre the Giant when Hulk Hogan had his match against him.
Which I'll admit, that's still a pretty legendary match. Like the fact that someone was able to pick him up like that. He's a big dude.
Oh yeah, bless his soul.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do not like Hulk Hogan.
That's fair enough.
So let's move on from the low points. And
Actually,
let's finally get it.
Before we move on to the high points or the OwOs,
Mm-hmm.
who is your least favorite wrestling personality? Not just in wrestling, but wrestling personality overall. It could be like a manager or like someone in like a backstage role or whatever. Who is your worst or least favorite, rather?
Vince McMahon.
Back then, Vince definitely did a lot of good, but at the same time, nowadays he is just so out of touch. Like,
I mean, Vince McMahon. I could have gone my entire life without seeing him make out with his entire women's division in the early 2000s. The Attitude Era was a dark time.
I mean, he definitely made it work as like one of the biggest heels in wrestling. The whole Brett screwed Brett promo he did.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was supposed to be a babyface promo. Like he actually convinced himself that what he did made him the good guy. Like, are you fucking high, dude?
Uh, he tried to kill himself off of TV. And then he fired Paul London because he was smiling during that segment. I could go on and on and on about Vince McMahon, but honestly, when it comes to commentators, we've gone over Corey Graves and Michael Cole. A couple unpopular opinions when it comes to that. I'm not the biggest fan of Jerry Lawler or Jim Ross as commentators.
Oh,
I know, everyone is gonna hate me for this. I like Jim Ross more than Jerry Lawler for sure, but Jerry Lawler has always come off as a creepy old man to me, and I've never been comfortable.
Which is weird because in real life he's a pretty humble person as far as far as I know. Like in interviews and all that, he seems like a very kind-hearted person.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he just portrays his persona pretty well.
Yeah, I guess so. But and it's not that I don't find him entertaining because I very much appreciate how much emotion and such he puts into his commentating, but hearing him like thirst over every single woman in a really creepy manner, it never. I never liked it. And it's on the opposite spectrum of that with Jim Ross, at least nowadays. Back in JR's prime, he was phenomenal. He was fantastic. But nowadays, he's just so monotone and like just blah.
I definitely think his time is a little overdone. I think I think it's best to end it on a strong note and just call it a day.
Yeah,
I love JR, and he's a sweetheart, but it's time to hang up the hat, man. Come on.
It's like,
please don't hate me, JR. If you're listening to this, please don't hate me. I'm still a big fan.
Oh man, like during that angle when that steel grate was dropped down onto Nick Jackson in AEW, like they cut over to it and JR was just like, oh my god, oh look at that.
Yeah,
and I'm like, give me something. That's like attempted murder.
Emote, damn it.
And I mean, Shivani and Excalibur didn't help much either. I don't think they said anything. So yeah, I almost forgot what the question was.
All right, my least favorite wrestling personality, Jim Cornette.
Oh, why did I think of that? Yeah, fuck him.
Listen, he did a lot of good in the 80s and 90s. Like when he was a manager carrying around the freaking badminton, like he was an absolute dick. He wanted to piss you off. He knew how to do his goddamn job. But honestly, I think he's more out of touch, worse than Vince is. Because Vince, I think, at least tries, and I use that term loosely, tries to understand the current world of wrestling, that it has changed. And he acknowledges that it has changed. But Cornette, oh my god, like,
I feel like he's perpetually stuck in the 80s.
Yeah, and part of me doesn't know if he's just working us or it's like legit. Either way, it's annoying as hell, and he always sounds like the get off my lawn kind of guy. He sounds like that guy.
Yeah.
Look, he did a lot. He was a great commentator. He was a great manager. He was a great general manager when he was in TNA. But for fuck's sake, man, just shut the fuck up. No one's interested in hearing you anymore. Just stop.
Get with the times.
Yeah. Look, if you want to have your opinions, fine. But the thing is, facts don't give a shit about your feelings. Deal with it. All right. Now to balance the scale out a little bit, let's go on to the OwOs.
Perfect. All right. So this one will be easier to split up into the different promotions and brands.
Yes, definitely.
So first, let's talk about our favorites in the main roster of WWE.
Okay. My current main roster favorite, male-wise, is Aleister Black.
Yes.
I've always been a big fan of dark characters, that menacing approach. I mean, that very menacing presence he has, the tattoos, the hair, that black mask kick. It's just, whew, love it.
He's super cool.
My favorite female on the main roster, even though she's not currently active, Ember Moon.
Oh yeah, God, I miss her.
I miss her as well.
She's really great. So
And in my opinion, she has one of the best finishers in WWE. That,
oh my God, the Eclipse is beautiful.
yes, it is beautiful. Top rope stunner
with a whole like corkscrew added to it.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
Just muy perfecto.
My favorite male wrestler on the roster right now. Oh my God, it's very hard to narrow down. But if I did have to pick one overall, it would probably be Drew McIntyre.
Hey, the chosen one.
Yes, he's just. I feel like he's got it all. Honestly, like he has got a really convincing finishing move, which is very important.
Mm-hmm.
He works super well as both a face and a heel. Except I like him much better as a face because he is super hilarious.
He definitely is.
And he's making a really great WWE champion, especially given all that's going on right now.
Yep, he's making it work.
Mm-hmm. Some runners up: Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins. Ricochet, of course. Bray Wyatt, duh.
I forgot my honorable mentions. Dang it. Oh well.
Mm-hmm. There's so many to pick from. I could go on. I'm sure there are several that I'm forgetting, and I'm going to kick myself later on for. But yeah, so that's my favorite male. Favorite female wrestler. Again, there's so many honorable mentions. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Lacey Evans, Sonya Deville. But at the top of it all, Kairi Sane, duh, she's wonderful.
She has the best elbow drop ever.
Absolutely. But at the top of it all, it's got to be Asuka.
Asuka.
I love Asuka to death. She is the best part about the COVID era of WWE shows. I'm staking my claim on that. She's just the best.
You're the best around.
So what are your honorable mentions?
Okay. My honorable mentions are Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, now that he's on the main roster.
Oh yeah.
He's going to be debuting on SmackDown. Ooh.
Bruh.
But
I find it hilarious that he wrestles in bare feet, and I don't know why.
Rusev used to wrestle in bare feet, but then they made him wear boots.
Yeah. I miss Rusev.
I do too. Oh yeah, Daniel Bryan.
But yes, I absolutely agree, Daniel Bryan. And I, in the same realm, have completely forgotten to mention AJ Styles because he's phenomenal. LOL.
Honorable mentions for the ladies. Lacey Evans. I've actually grown to like her. Asuka.
Becky Lynch, who used to be my favorite, but Ember Moon is... she's a little better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Becky Lynch would be a close second. And yeah, Sonya Deville.